Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Breaking Bad. Last time on Breaking Bad, we had Live Free or Die. We had a bit of an interesting intro with presumably something that'll happen later on in the season, where Walt was in a Denny's, and he had hair, and he got a car, and there were guns in the car, and then that was that. Actually, wasn't a whole lot, but it was still a very interesting scene. Perhaps it's going to be our sort of plane crash of the season, showing something that will happen later on. Then we went back to where we left off in season 4 with the death of Gus. Walt and Jesse had to get the help of Mike in order to find the laptop that Gus recorded all of their cooking and stuff with, and they had to find a way to destroy it. They did. Walt may be getting a little too full of himself between some stuff like this and how he's starting to treat Saul. Meanwhile, Skyler went to Ted Beneke, who just woke up, and he said, "I'm not going to breathe a word of this," and she said, "Good," and that was that. And that was pretty much that. At the end, we got Walt going to Skyler and saying, "I forgive you." Again, maybe he might be getting a little full of himself, but we'll have to see. Overall, it was a really, really good episode, and I really enjoyed it. This is where I say no spoilers in the comments whatsoever. This is also where I say if you want to watch my reaction to this episode of Breaking Bad, what you're going to have to do is head down in the description or to the pinned comments. Click on the link there. That will take you over to the reaction. You can watch it just like any normal reaction. And when you're done with that, you can pop right back over here to this video for the discussion. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into this episode of Breaking Bad. Here we go. She should have gotten out of there when she had the chance. And now look, we've gone over before. It's like, oh, well, she can't say anything about him being a drug dealer, or, a cook, because that would go back to her and everything, and that would be bad for the family. Did that make it worse? That made it worse. Okay. But she should have held with the divorce, and she should have gotten right the hell out of there, because he's gone. There is no doubt about it. Walter White is gone. And the man pretending to be Walter White now is Heisenberg. And again, watching this, he's so different now. But I think okay, you know what it is? Because I said, it's like, oh man, he feels so different now. And I was, like I said, it's like, there's almost like no progression. But like I said, the progression, his descent into this sort of madness is the first 4 seasons. If anything, it's not that he, now he's all insane after 4 seasons and everything, he's insane. It's that, no, now he's allowed to be open about it. Now he can be openly insane, and there's not a damn thing anyone can do. Everyone is getting sucked in, and everyone is getting sucked in to the madness. Sorry, there was a hair on the tablecloth. It was bugging me. I had to get it out. Anyway, he is openly insane. And there's no one to keep him in check without Gus. Because Jesse, he kind of has Jesse fooled. Of all of them, he kind of has Jesse fooled. Mike can't really do anything. Mike can't really do anything. Although, he could kill him, for God's sake. He almost did last episode anyway, so... Saul can't do anything. Like, Skylar can't do anything. There is nothing that can stop him now, and he knows it, and so he is openly insane. He just is. He's openly insane. And again, you might think like, oh man, it's a sudden change in him, but it's not sudden. This has been the progression of the series, is watching Walter White's descent into madness. That has been the entire progression of the series. You know? And the thing is that before, there was something that could keep him in check. The one thing that could keep him in check was Gus Fring, because he had a higher power. Because he was a higher power. He was the employer, you know? He was the one thing that could keep Walt in check. And with him gone, Walt is just openly insane. Now, like I said, Jesse doesn't see it, I don't think. Hell, Mike even comments as much. Jesse doesn't see it. And, like any insane person, Walt doesn't see it. Like any insane person, Walt doesn't see it either, you know? Yeesh. And now Mike is going to have to work with... Mike is going to have to work with them. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the show Mike kills Walt. Like when everything is finally done, he just kills Walt. But I don't know. The problem is Walt is a clever man, and he may see it coming. Who knows? But Walt is definitely the villain on the show now. And I know he's the main character. He's technically the protagonist. But he is kind of the villain now. He's the villain, but there is no hero. You know what? If there is going to be a hero, perhaps, I said, like, oh, well, maybe Mike will kill him at the end of the show. Maybe Jesse will kill him. Maybe Jesse, at the end of the series, will kill Walt to end the madness. Honestly, I could see that, especially with how much Walt has manipulated Jesse. If Jesse finds out, then it really is over, you know? Like, there's no talking your way out of it, you know? There's no talking your way out of it if he finds out that, Walt poisoned Brock, you know? Maybe that's what we're leading to, is Jesse killing Walt. Then again, we also have the flash forward from last episode. Walt didn't seem too crazy then. Maybe Walt doesn't die, but maybe he gets knocked down, you know? Maybe he gets knocked down by Jesse. I don't know. I do not know. Let's go over the notes, though. The first thing I wrote down is Mr. Schuler. That was interesting. So, yeah, Madrigal was the company. They made the vent, is that right? The high-power vent, which that's how they used That's how they vented all the smell or all the chemicals and stuff from the meth lab. So, yeah, because everything came out about Gus, that did create that. That did fall back to Madrigal, and Mr. Schuler, Herr Schuler, killed himself very creatively, I must say. So he went and got a defibrillator, and then he stuck it on his chest, and he stuck it in his mouth, and he just completely offed himself. Like, jeez. That was pretty crazy, I have to say. We had the ricin. Okay, so it took me a while to figure out what the hell was happening in that scene. So Walt took the real ricin and hid it away in the outlet behind his nightstand, basically. And then he filled up a vial with just salt, and then he flushed the original cigarette, got rid of that, and then planted it at Jesse's house for the Roomba to find. And then they look through the Roomba. Jesse thinks that's the ricin. Walt goes and flushes it. Ricin is out of Jesse's mind. It took me a while to really figure out what was happening in that scene, but I got it. I think I got it, so that's good. But yeah, and then he gets so emotional because he thinks, I almost killed you and it wasn't your fault, even though actually, plot twist, yeah, it was. This poor man, I have to say, like, and look, we obviously, yes, Jesse's not an innocent man per se, and he never was really an innocent man, but this poor man has been dragged through hell because of Walt, Like, that is just so horrible. Everything that has happened to him, I honestly do feel bad for Jesse after everything that's happened, Oh, it's just this. I hope Jesse can make it out of this show all right, Like, I have no idea where we're going, but I hope he gets out all right because, oh man, it's just so horrible everything that he has gone through because of Walt, Okay. Partners. So that was interesting with going to Mike, trying to get him to be, partners and stuff like that. Obviously, Mike would turn them down because he hates Walt, And it's like, I killed your last boss. Now come work with me. And it's like, really? But then at the end, he kind of has to now. They have to rebuild, basically. So, but that was interesting. And I like, it's like, put your emotions aside and, really think about this. And he's like, okay, I will. My emotions are aside. You're trouble. You're a ticking time bomb. Like, I love that. It's like, yeah, there's no emotion about it. Like, there's actually no emotion about it. You are horrible. And Mike knows that. So, okay. I wrote down Secret Life. That was a very interesting thing with when they were talking to, I guess, so the chief is leaving. That kind of sucks. I liked him. But, when they say, like, with Gus, it's like, he was a completely other person, And they kind of hold on Hank, and it's like, he's starting to get things. Like, honestly, like, they've dropped that hint a couple times that, just tiny little hints that perhaps Hank might be connecting the dots with Walt. That would be very, very interesting. I'd love if that happened, but I have no idea. Oh, I kind of hope so. I don't know. This is the final season. Something has to happen, Something is going to happen. Like, I don't know if, like, maybe the show will end with Walt winning or not. Who knows? Maybe the cancer will catch up with him and he'll just die. Who knows? But something is going to happen, and something major. So I could see Hank putting the dots together, basically. Oh, excuse me. Jeez. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just the way they held on. They've done that a couple times. perhaps he's getting somewhere. Perhaps he's getting somewhere with that. Wrote down weak links, which was interesting. It's just like, oh, you want me to kill 11 people? And it's like, no, that's not how this works. But then one of them did basically, I guess one of them, they did try to kill, they were going to kill everyone on the list, and they started with Cho, I don't remember. I think it was Cho, actually. They started with him, and then Mike had to kill that guy, and then he had to go over to the woman. So, yeah, that was really interesting. Now, I'm not sure exactly, I'm not sure, how having her help rebuild works. Okay, so there's a good reason why Mike would be joining Walt, It must be that, if they do actually rebuild, then this can help them get out of any trouble, especially trouble that's being caused by the people on that list, So, yeah. I'm not sure, but there's something. So basically, there's a good enough alternative. Having her get the stuff is a good alternative to just killing her, So I'll be curious how that's all going to work out. I guess I just don't know the inner workings of it. We did have Mike go into the DEA, which was interesting. Just having Mike and Hank meet, which is always just fun, just because they have such strong personalities. So I really did like that. But that is a problem that's so I guess all that money. So Gus put all that money in Mike's granddaughter's name. So was that just money for Mike? Is that his retirement money? Or is that specifically no, this money is for his granddaughter? It could be that, considering he was the only one. Since he was the only one that who didn't have his name in one of the bank accounts, it was his granddaughter's name. I would assume it would be more for that, but yeah. So now it seems like all that money is going to be gone, basically. So yeah. We had the talk of the new place. They have to find a new place to cook, which is interesting, and Saul having to be basically a real estate guy now, try to find somewhere good. I mean, this is going to be a tough operation, trying to do this, especially with the DEA so poised now. We'll definitely have to see, but yeah. And they're not going to go for an RV again, which kind of sucks, but but somewhere close in town, which is interesting. And obviously, Saul being like, you got out alive. Maybe you should just call it there. And Walt being like, I'm broke. How is that good? It's like, again, which, I mean, it is kind of a good point. It's like, it is kind of a good point of like, yeah, well, I don't have any money, so I can't get out. That is true. But again, he's getting a little too arrogant now, Well, yeah, and then we had the people on the list and rebuilding. So they are going to rebuild. Mike is going to help, and he now has someone who can help get the stuff, which is interesting. And again, I'm not fully on board with how this is going to work, but I'm sure they'll explain it by next episode at least. So yeah. And then the last thing I wrote down was Skylar. That, yeah, she is still... It's not about Ted. See, at first I was like, okay, maybe he understands, that she's going through some stuff. And it's like, no, he thinks it's about Ted. It ain't about Ted. Well, maybe part of it is about Ted, but more you blowing up 3 dudes. Specifically, blowing up your enemy with another dude. Basically having a suicide bomber kill Gus Fring. I think that's what she's more upset about. But obviously Walt doesn't see that, So, yeah, that, she's really in it now. She is really in it now. And it's going to be hard for her to, if she's going to try to escape. The only thing I think she could do is just, while Walt is gone, pack as many things as you can into a car, put in Holly and Walter Jr., and you get the hell out of there. Now, that does leave behind Hank and Marie, and it's entirely possible that Walt could still find her, especially if he has if he puts Mike on the case, but that may be like the only way out at this point. So, yeah. But that's pretty much all I wrote down. Another good episode, kind of a Mike-heavy episode, honestly, but that's really great. I love Mike. So, I'm very curious to see where we are going to be going next time. But yeah, that is pretty much it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my Breaking Bad reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.